Did you ever know that guy who spends a little too much time talking about his classic car because he mistakenly thinks everyone else wants to own one too? Well, we're about to Leroy Jenkins that concept with an upgrade for the Glock 43 right now. Welcome back to RBB. If you like our content, consider subscribing so you don't miss out. So, the Glock models 43 and 43X suit me just fine for concealed carry. Because unless you're a cop, it isn't your job to use force to defend people you don't know. Simply put, you should only consider using such force to defend yourself and those that you would be willing to die or go to jail for. And I have to say, in my world, that list is pretty small. But the Model 43's original 6-round magazine capacity left a lot to be desired. Now, RBB already did a video on the Shield Arms Z9 magazines, but then I find out they're also making the Z9+1. That's 10 rounds in the magazine of your Glock 43. Wait, wouldn't that make it a Z10? No. It's a Z9+1, mister, and don't you forget it. Anyway, this time, folks, I didn't pay for the magazine being tested. Instead, I reached out to Shield Arms and they sent me a Z9+1 mag for testing at no cost. Now, if you think that RBB is going soft on product testing where I don't pay for the items we review and my judgment on these matters is therefore compromised, please stay until the end of the video and you will see that this is not true. Now, the Z9+1 setup comes in two different flavors. The extension kit to put onto an existing Z9 magazine you already own, and the Z9+1 magazine where the extension is already installed on a magazine at the factory. The Shield Arms Z9+1 magazine extender appears to add another 3/8 of an inch or slightly over 1/4 inch to the base of the gun compared to the Z9 magazine. In addition, there are index cuts on each side of the base to aid in extracting the magazine should a nasty malfunction call for removing the mag with a little force. And from there it was off to the range for some testing. If you remember from a previous video that the original 3 Z9 magazines were put through a reliability test of 200 rounds total, but this time there was only one magazine. So I dumped 200 rounds through this one Shield Arms Z9+1. Same Glock 43 as before, still just as dirty. I did, however, run a bore snake through the barrel and made sure the gun was oiled up. But it's a Glock. The results? Well, here's where things get interesting. I ran a total of 18 full magazines of ammunition through the gun and Z9+1 magazine setup. And on top of that, I started each iteration with a round in the chamber as well for a total of 11 rounds in the gun. The first 2 magazines ran like a champ with no feeding problems. Then it happened. It appears that the magazine follower began to bind inside the Z9+1 magazine right at the 5-round mark. This happened in the 3rd through 6th magazine iterations. Each time I was able to shake the rounds out because there was no spring tension keeping them in. While empty, I knocked the magazine with a little force on the table and the follower came unbound. The magazine was loaded back up and we started again. Like I said, this happened to the Shield Arms magazine 4 times in a row. However, on the 7th iteration, the feeding problems disappeared and from there I had 100% reliability with the Z9+1 mag. Now some range detectives may ask what ammo I was using, and the answer is I used factory generic ammo. In fact, it was these, by the way. This is the same ammo sold by the range I was at to be used with their rental guns, and the reliability of both brands for general purposes has been consistently very good. So again, after those 4 problem mags full of ammo, the feeding from iterations 7 through 18 was flawless. But RBB, you manic madcap of magazine messaging, I hear you say, who cares? The Shield Arms Z9+1 magazine only supplies you with 1 more round than the Z9 already has. Ah, but let's not forget the round already in the chamber. As the great rock philosopher Nigel Tufnell from the classic 80s band Spinal Tap pointed out in the best rockumentary ever made while he was explaining that his guitar amplifier goes to 11, not just 10, it's for when you need that little something to push you over the cliff. So there, dear viewer, 11 is 1 more than 10. Besides being a 10-round magazine for the Glock 43, the Z9+1s are made right here in the US of A, and that is always a good feature. And for those still watching, After testing this product, I reached back out to Shield Arms and bought 2 more of the Z9+1 magazines. So, rather than shilling for the company, I put my money where my mouth is on this matter. Thanks for watching, and if you have any questions or comments, please leave them down below. And we'll catch you right here next time on Ranges, Backstops, and Berms.